You're still watching the SABC News Prime Time. And Francis, good evening.
Thank you. I'm Francis Hood. Great to have you with us. Let's get back into the news. Opposition parties will meet National Assembly Speaker Baleka Mbete tomorrow to discuss their demand for a motion of no confidence in President Jacob Zuma before the State of the Nation address.
Mbete has scheduled the motion for February the 22nd. Parliament is starting to prepare for the State of the Nation address on Thursday. For more on that, we now cross live to Lukhanyo Calata, who's in Parliament. Thank you very much indeed for joining us, and welcome to the programme. So all roads lead to Cape Town and the Parliament on Thursday, but lots to be discussed before that.
Hi Peter, good evening, and thank you very much for welcoming me into your program. Yes, all roads do lead to Parliament this week. It is of course the week of the State of the Nation address, so we've spent the last couple of hours just combing through and going around the precinct, just making sure that everything is happening as it should be. Up until we get to the State of the Nation address, there's a lot that needs to be discussed, Peter, and one of the things that are on the table is of course the threat that was made by the EFF today, saying that we are not going to have a State of the Nation address. Instead, what we're likely to have is a debate on a motion of no confidence. There's also a meeting with opposition party leaders with Speaker Baleka Mbete tomorrow. So there's a lot that still needs to be gotten through before we reach Thursday. But to break it down, to tell us a little bit more about what can be expected and just how have preparations been going, I am now joined by Moloto Mutapo, who is the spokesperson of Parliament. Mr. Mutapo, thank you so very much for joining us, and good evening.
Good evening, Lukhanyo.
Let's talk a little bit very quickly on the preparations leading up to the State of the Nation address. As Parliament, are you satisfied that things are where they should be?
Yeah, as Parliament, you will know that the State of the Nation address is a culmination of months of preparations. It is something that immediately, as soon as one State of the Nation address comes and goes, you start preparing for the next one. So it is a culmination of months of preparations, and where we are satisfied that it's all systems go, everything is in place. The guests have been invited, as the presiding officers have indicated on Thursday. There has been a lot of high interest in this State of the Nation address. You've got prominent persons that have confirmed that they will be attending. The former presidents of South Africa who have confirmed that they will be attending. So it's all systems go. We are satisfied with our state of readiness.
One of the key things that will obviously take place is a meeting tomorrow between the Speaker of the National Assembly, Baleka Mbete, and leaders of the opposition parties. What can you tell us about that meeting, and what exactly will the Speaker's position be to the request by the leaders of the opposition parties?
You are aware that the two political parties last week have written to the Speaker of the National Assembly making a variety of requests. She has since considered their request, and she has responded accordingly. Just to sum it up, the State of the Nation address remains on the 8th of February. It is not moved. It is going ahead as scheduled. With regard to the request for a motion of no confidence in the President, that has been scheduled for the 22nd of February. So that is the position of the Speaker with regard to those matters that were raised by the political parties.
All right. Let's talk a little bit about issues of security. We know that the Commander-in-Chief of the EFF, Julius Malema, earlier today, said that there's a few things that they need to discuss with President Jacob Zuma, should he be the one that tables the State of the Nation address on Thursday. Parliament, what have you done in terms of fortifying the House, in terms of fortifying the National Assembly, to make sure that we don't see a repeat, and that the threats that are made by the EFF aren't actually realized?
Well, firstly, the House itself, the sitting itself, is governed under the rules of the Assembly, which have been created by the members of Parliament themselves. and they will be applied without fear or favor or prejudice by the presiding officers on that day. The joint sitting has got its own rules. And that is when the rules of the joint sitting will apply. So the issue of the motion of no confidence does not arise in those rules. It's not provided precisely because the issue of the appointment and the removal of the president is a function of the National Assembly, one house. So you cannot apply the rules of a single house during a joint sitting of the house. So the rules of the joint sitting will apply, and they will be applied by the presiding officers on that day.
All right. Well, Mr. Mothapo, thank you very much. We appreciate your time, and thank you so much for speaking to us. That was Mr. Moloto Mothapo, who is the spokesperson of Parliament, basically telling us that on Thursday, the speakers or the presiding officers of Parliament, Thandi Modise and Baleka Mbete, will apply the rules as they should be applied. Therefore, I'm sure we can then look forward, or not look forward to, but we can anticipate some similar scenes that we saw in the National Assembly last year. Peter, over to you in studio.
Lukhanyo Calata, thank you very much indeed. And that's somebody I'm sure we'll be talking to quite a bit over the next couple of days in preparation for that State of the Nation address taking place on Thursday.